다니엘 선지자가 예언적으로 암시한 것을 훗날 예수님께서 더욱 자세히 풀어주신 말씀이 있는데, 그것은 마지막 때가 되면 사람들이 자신의 매일매일의 삶, 곧 직장생활, 가족의 일, 결혼계획, 자신들의 야망 등에 너무 흠취한 나머지 영원한 것을 망각하고 하나님에 대해 무관심하게 될 것이라는 것입니다. 예수님께서는 이 시대를 노아의 때와 비교하셨습니다. 사람들은 자신의 삶에만 너무 집착한 나머지 그 외의 것들에 대해서는 전혀 관심조차 가지지 않고 살 것이며, 급기야 성경이 이미 경고했던 여러 가지 징조들이 일어나기 시작하는 것을 보고 앞으로 다가올 일들에 대해 준비해야 함에도 불구하고 여전히 자신들의 삶에서 헤어나오지 못하게 될 것이며, 결국 다가올 일들에 대해 준비하지 못하고 오직 신실한 남은 자들만이 준비하게 될 것이라고 말씀하셨습니다.
As Jesus warned, as Daniel predicted, the Romans would destroy Jerusalem and Jews became evicted progressively in the 1st and 2nd century from Jerusalem and from the area of southern Israel. History has been plagued by anti-Semitism towards the Jews. This hatred of the Jews, we hate you. Jews were persecuted in every nation in which they lived. It's not even logical. And it is predicted in the Torah of the Jews, in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and Leviticus chapter 26, that these things would happen to the Jews.
I will take the children of Israel from among the nations, wherever they have gone, and will gather them from every side and bring them back into their own land. Now, the point of this passage is there's never been a point in history where the Jews have been gathered back to the land of Israel and been given back their land and given back their nationhood from all the nations round about, except in 1948.
And though we were facing a major catastrophe, and the feeling was that the experiment of establishing a Jewish state was about to come to an end, someone from above had other plans. And within 6 days we managed to overcome our enemies in each and every one of our borders and to reunite Jerusalem as the capital of the Jewish people, the capital of the state of Israel, but the capital of God in the world, as was announced 3,000 years ago by King David.
You brought people from all corners of the earth, speaking I don't know how many dozens of languages into one country, and you revived this beautiful sleeping beauty into a language of use.
In the last days, the ancient Jewish currency of the shekel will be revived. And guess what? Nearly 3,000 years ago, the prophet Isaiah predicted that water will gush forth in the wilderness and streams in the desert. The burning sand will become a pool, the thirsty ground bubbling springs.
First people who came here saw nothing but salty water, desert.
Once Israel became a nation in 1948, there was an intense national program of national reforestation, literally fulfilling this prophecy. And of course, Israel is the garden of the Middle East. You don't find so much agricultural land recovered from a desert wilderness anywhere else in the Middle East.
The mountains will drip with sweet wine and fill the face of the world with fruit.
You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines, earthquakes, signs in the sun, moon and stars. Nations will be in anguish at the roaring and tossing of the sea. Men will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is coming on the world. Such things must happen. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure.
Over the years, Reach Out Trust has seen an increase in the falling away of people within churches from true Christianity. They've moved away from biblical truth.
Whole denominations that at one time were biblically based and held to a biblical morality, having gone into everything from not simply religious apostasy, but even moral debauchery and a fundamental lack of financial ethics. There will be a convergence of calamities environmental, economic, political, and strategic taking place. In desperation, the world will look to a political leader and a religious leader as some kind of a redeemer figure.
The people of the world can live together in peace. We know that is God's vision.
We need a leader, and we need a core of people surrounding that leader, not just one man, but we need the leader to deliver the message.
The scriptures speak of a new kind of currency that will take place. Some would suggest in the form of some kind of a microchip on the forehead or on the right hand, by which people will be able to buy and sell, but not be able to buy and sell without it. The essential technology already exists. Well, the book of Revelation tells us that will be a final currency. No one will be able to buy and sell without it. We are going to see Persia, that is Iran, emerging as a strategic threat to Israel's existence. We are told by Ezekiel, Russia, Turkey, and certainly the nations of Soviet Central Asia will come into some kind of a military confederation with Iran in order to invade Israel, leading up to some kind of a terrible conflict.
Israel is situated along the Syro-African Rift, the fault line that separates between Europe and Africa. The prophets talk about how, in the end of days, an earthquake will split Mount Olives in half, and the waters of Jerusalem, like these below us, will both flow to the Dead Sea and to the Mediterranean.
The Torah obligates us. Make me a sanctuary and I will dwell amongst you. And this is exactly what we are doing. We are trying to build the house of God, the third temple. From the very first moment we actually begin, it should take between a year to 2 years to build.
Despite the desires of many people over the centuries really to reopen it, it still remains closed, as Ezekiel prophesied it would. It's entirely visible today, again, opposite the cleft in the Mount of Olives, overlooking the Kidron Valley, in the wall of Jerusalem on the east side of the old city. Still there, just as Ezekiel said. The only nations in the world that could assemble an army of 200 million obviously would be in the Far East. Some have speculated it's Sin, the ancient name for China. Be that as it may, it would have to cross the Euphrates River. Even as we speak, there is a dam in Turkey which could restrict the flow of the waters into the Euphrates that could literally make this particular prophecy happen. I'm not necessarily saying it must be China, but it doesn't leave too many other possibilities.
If nuclear weapons were used, it would be a game changer. You know, September the 11th multiplied 100.
We are specifically warned by Jesus that unless he returned, no human flesh would be saved. The human race would bring itself to the point of extinction. It was not possible, either strategically or technologically, up until the 1940s, but it's certainly possible now.